a lovely person who worked for Bergdorf Goodman. She was the publicity director. Her name was Miss Neff. We all knew her as Miss Neff. And she would come with the clothes, and then she would style it. And this is Diana Newman, and she's fixing the garment on her. But at this time, I have to tell you this story because it's kind of uplifting and it's kind of downlifting in a sense. But at this time, before I figured out this lighting, my book had gone to Harper's Bazaar. My agent, from the very beginning of my work, I had this agent. He was very handsome. He spoke 3 languages. The ladies all loved him. And he took my book, and by this time it was filled with a lot of advertising and prestigious things from Revlon and things like that. He took my book to Harper's Bazaar. And when he went to collect the book, the art director came out and holding the book, and he threw it on the floor, and he kicked it over to him, and he said, "Why do you waste my time?" So I said to Lucien said, I should have punched him out. But then I said to Lucien, you know, I think there's a message here. And so I got busy trying to develop light that would be different from any other photographer. And I got this idea of, by this time I had strobe. And so now instead of available light, I was bringing down the opaque blinds on my studio so that I could shoot strobe. And the studio was not functional for me at that time now because strobe was more important to me. But the tungsten light, the big cone light that you saw behind me in the picture that I was with my mother, now used to be a 5,000 watt, with a 5,000 watt bulb that went into that. And I changed it to strobe, and I pushed this big light through seamless paper, and then hung seamless paper on the opposite end and cut a hole through the seamless paper. And the seamless paper, the reflection of that light that came through the seamless paper was the key light, which was a very soft, pretty light. So I wanted to throw this in to show you, and I was so excited about it. I called the agency and I said, would you ask Wilhelmina, who was the top model at that time, if she would do a test for me? And the booker said, are you kidding? Wilhelmina doesn't do tests. And I said, ask her anyway, because when I was with Irving Penn, I was his assistant for about 18 months. I said, ask her, because I knew her and I had conversation with her. And sure enough, she said yes. She had 1 hour to give me. She showed up in her stretch limousine that day, got out of the car, brought up these 2 big, huge satchels. She opened them up. She set the hair pieces out in a long row. She says, which one do you want? She's in full makeup. She puts on the dress. She steps in front of this light. And so that was the picture. This is the light here. This is Wilhelmina. And then I started experimenting with interesting clothes that I could use with this, not just mainstream things. I wanted something to really capture an art director's eye that might be an editorial art director of some kind. And so I took this picture. This was a space age kind of feeling, and I got this out of Saks Fifth Avenue window, and I put it on a top model at that time by the name of Agneta Darren, and she did this work for me. And then I found another model with a Sassoon haircut that was very modern looking, and she was a blonde, which was very unusual to see for a Sassoon hair. And this is the kind of thing that I left at Bazaar the next time I left my portfolio there. And by that time, the art director that had originally thrown my portfolio on the floor was his assistants that had gotten his job, Bea Feitler and Ruth Ansell. And by the way, in August, Ruth Ansell is going to be here. She's a celebrated art director. And it'll be a chance for you to see somebody. And I might be here myself. I have some questions to ask her. But I got a job from Harper's Bazaar from these pictures, and so it was a real thrill for me because that's what I went to New York for, was to work for Harper's Bazaar. And so it was really a big moment in my life. And so this is some of my early work from Harper's Bazaar, and this too. This is a Tiffany brooch. And then I got another idea. I had to think of new things, and so this is me jumping for the camera, and it's a slow shutter with a combination of strobe and tungsten light. And so I did these photographs, and I did a lot of jumpies at that time, and the models that I worked with were extremely talented, and I would give them these moves, but it was they that interpreted the moves, and I said I want a lot of off-balance posing. When you're in the air, that they're really quite different, so that you're a little unsure as how you're going to land after you finish the movement. I'm not sure how this girl wound up, but she was just beautiful. And another model that I used at that time was Diana Newman, who must have been a dancer because she was absolutely poetry in front of the camera. And the model is one of the most essential things we all just fight for, the top girl, and she comes in and she contributes so much to the image that you take. This is Diana Newman again in a very colorful sarmi dress.